If you've ever stared at the Irish whiskey section wondering what to grab, we're about to make that decision a whole lot easier.
We tried the top 25 selling bottles in the US and broke them down by flavor and value and ranked them so you don't have to waste a pour.
We picked one bottle from each of the top 25 Irish whiskey brands currently sold in the US. These are flagships, fan favorites, or best known expressions that most people can actually find. Our tier system goes from S tier, which means exceptional and worth hunting down, all the way down to F tier. Those are the bottles we would never buy again.
We know you're gonna disagree with some of our rankings, and hell, we probably will disagree ourselves, but that's the beauty of whiskey. Drop your hot takes in the comments. We can take it.
Before we get started, we'd like to show you our awesome whiskey-inspired t-shirts like our Share With Your Friends, Best Place on Earth, and Godfather parodies. We have patriotic tees, as well as ones with our official logo to tell the world that you're part of this amazing whiskey community. Links are in the description below.
Number 25, West Cork. Bourbon cask matured. Now Ryan, I am glad that there are 24 Irish whiskeys that sell better than West Cork. On paper, it should be decent. Non-chill filtered, bourbon cask, low proof, but in reality, it falls flat. And it's not very interesting. The palate is thin, slightly bitter, and a weird finish that feels like it's trying to be more than it really is. I think that I actually like Jameson better, and I'm gonna give this little bottle a 62.
Yeah, West Cork feels like a brand that should be doing a little bit more. This bottle in particular just lacks balance. There's a little citrus and honey up front, but it kind of gets overtaken by harshness and young grain notes. I wanted to like it, but even for a budget Irish, there's better ones out there. And funny enough, I too gave it a 62.
Oh, look at that. We are in sync already. I love it.
Well, we both scored at 62, so obviously that's gonna put it at 62 in the D tier for West Cork Bourbon Cask Matured. Next up at number 24, we've got McConnells Irish Whiskey Original Blend. McConnells has a cool backstory. It's one of the oldest Irish whiskey brands. It was recently revived after decades of dormancy. The bottle looks great, the branding is sharp, but the liquid inside is pretty average. It's light with some apple and vanilla on the nose, but the palate is very grain forward. It's a little hot for its proof too, and it finishes very quick. It's not bad, it's just not memorable. 66 for me.
Yeah, I wanted to root for this one because of the history, but it doesn't really hold up against the majority of this list. There's a dry tannic note that hits the mid palate and it kind of just derails it. It tastes young and honestly, it drinks more like a value blend. I wouldn't turn down a pour, but I'm not reaching for this one on purpose either. So I will give this little sucker another 62. With your 66 and my second 62 today, we have an average score of 64 D tier for McConnell's Irish Whiskey. Our number 23 best-selling Irish whiskey in the US is Egans Vintage Grain 8-year. I'll give Egans credit. They put out an 8-year single grain at 46% ABV, which is rare for the price point. The problem is it still drinks like a grain whiskey. It's light, a little citrusy with notes of vanilla and popcorn, but it lacks complexity. I respect what they're going for, but to me, this just doesn't compete with some of the pot still or blended options we have on this list. I like it a little more than the previous two bottles, but not by much, so this is a good old 69 for me.
You know what? I actually agree with you.
As you should.
There is some nice texture here thanks to the higher ABV that you mentioned, and you do get a little sweetness from the bourbon cask, but it actually feels one-dimensional with all that being said. It's interesting, but not something that I'd come back to often. I gave it a 68.
Oh.
We are not off to a strong start here, so I hope this gets better. With your score of 69, mine of 68, that averages out to a 69 D tier for Egans Vintage Grain 8-year.
Back to back to back D tier.
Man, that's a terrible report card.
Yep.
Number 22 on this list, we get the good old Dingle Single Malt. This was Dingle's first true flagship release, aged in a mix of PX sherry and bourbon casks, and honestly, they nailed it. This one is rich, it's layered, feels like a huge leap forward from your early batches. You get fruit, dark chocolate, little orange peel, and really elegant spice that lingers. It tastes handcrafted in the best way. I'm going 87 for the Dingle Single.
Ooh. Yeah, you love yourself your little Dingle. I love it. There's some real depth here for such a young whiskey. The PX cask brings that sticky sweetness while the bourbon barrels keep it grounded with vanilla and toasted oak. It's pretty bold, flavorful, and it doesn't drink like a new kid on the block, which I appreciate. This single malt Dingle is pretty tasty. 85 for me. So with your score of 87 and my score of 85, the average is 86. We finally broke the D tier curse with this one. Dingle Single Malt. Number 21 on this list is the Sexton Single Malt.
Irish, they really know how to name their whiskeys.
I know,
Redbreast, Green Spot, Black Bush, Sexton.
Butthole McGee.
Wow, is that one?
I'm sure there is. I'm sure if you Google it, you'll find an Irish whiskey name.
I don't know if I want to Google that.
This bottle looks like it should be holding something powerful. It's matte black, hexagonal, super gothic. But inside, the Sexton is a lot more approachable than it looks. It's 100% malted barley, aged in Oloroso sherry casks, and honestly, it's a solid entry-level single malt. It's not deep, but it's really enjoyable for the price at just over $30. I'm giving this one an 83.
Yeah, it's one of those whiskeys where the packaging kind of sets your expectations too high, but the juice is actually decent for what it is. It's simple, it's a little sweet, and really easy to drink. It doesn't evolve much in the glass, but if you're just starting to explore single malts or want a cool looking bottle to bring to a party, you could do way worse. 82 for me. So you gave it an 83, I gave it an 82, so it's gonna average out to an 83, B tier for the Sexton single malt.
We are skirting around that NSYNC ranking here.
I know, we're so close.
Yeah.
We started off there and then we've been all around it ever since. Next up at number 20, we've got the Busker Blend Irish Whiskey. The Busker is getting a lot of shelf space recently, and I get why. It's affordable at $43, and the triple cask approach sounds promising, but in the glass, it feels a little bit disjointed. You get some nice sweetness from the Marsala cask, but the grain component comes through a little too raw, and it doesn't quite come together in my opinion. So I'm gonna give it a 76.
Yeah, I'd rather drink the $30 Sexton than the $43 Busker. The balance to me is off. There's some fruit, a little spice, and then there's a sharp finish that feels a bit rushed. It's drinkable, but overall it still feels like a starter whiskey than anything else. So I am gonna give it a 72. So with your score of 76 and my score of 72, this averages out to a 74 C tier for Busker Blend Irish Whiskey. Number 19 on our list is the Irishman, the Harvest. The Irishman Harvest is kind of a quiet achiever. It's a combination of 70% single malt and 30% single pot still. There's a creamy texture to it, some nice orchid fruit, a little baking spice, but it's not terribly flashing or exciting. However, I do like it. I don't love it. So I'm gonna go with an 82.
Yeah, this is one of those bottles that really doesn't scream for attention, but the more you sip it, the more you appreciate it. There's kind of a softness to it, like green apple, vanilla, and a little bit of nuttiness. It's not bold or complex by any means, but it's clean, comforting, and definitely a step up from the lower end blends. I'm not far off with an 80. So you're 82, my 80, this averages it out to an 81. B tier for the Irishman, the Harvest. Coming in at number 18, we've got the Whistler Double Oaked. The Whistler Double Oaked actually makes for a good first impression. It's got a rich golden color, a cool bottle design, and the idea of aging in both bourbon and sherry casks sounds very promising. Unfortunately, when you actually taste it, it's a bit of a letdown. The sweetness from the sherry is there, but in my opinion, it comes off a little artificial. And the finish is short with some bitterness I didn't expect, so I'm gonna go with a 77 here. That being said, a Whistler that I will recommend though is the Calvados finish. That one is very good.
I'm actually intrigued by the Whistler Double Oaked. It's unique yet light, it's well priced for a double oak Irish blend, but it also doesn't really feel or taste like your typical double oaked whiskey.
True.
It's not bad, but it ends up being kind of middle of the road, and there are better bottles out there at the same price point. Its uniqueness bumps it up to a low B for me, so I'm gonna go with an 81. With your 77 and my 81, this one averages out to a score of 79, C tier for the Whistler Double Oaked.
It wasn't enough to pull it into the B tier, huh?
It was not enough. It just stayed there at the very top of the C.
Yeah, what do you guys think? Is it a B or C tier for the Whistler?
Let us know in the comments below. Number 17 best-selling Irish whiskey is Kilbegan Traditional. While most Irish whiskeys use a triple distillation process, Kilbegan uses two, making it more akin to a Scotch than an Irish whiskey. Now, I love me some Scotch, and for roughly $20, Kilbegan is a steal. It's an easy one to overlook, but you get notes of vanilla, grass, and a little cereal grain. It's not very exciting, and it's somehow figured out how to be both harsh and light at the same time. But come on, it's a $20 whiskey. I'm gonna give it a 78 with an added point for value. So now, it's a 79.
I think this one drinks way better than a lot of people give it credit for, especially if you're going in with the right expectations. It's soft, it's smooth, it's easy to sip, nothing complex at all, but no real off notes either. I wouldn't go out of my way to grab it, but if someone poured me a glass, I certainly wouldn't complain either. I went with a 78 for this one. So you gave it a 79 with a bump. I gave it a 78 with no bump. That averages out to a 79, high C tier for Kilbegan Traditional.
You know, if this bottle was just $5 more, I would have not given it that bonus point. So I think that we could have been in sync if it wasn't for that. I kind of screwed that whole thing up.
Up next at number 16, we've got Glendel Double Barrel.
Wow, that was impressive. I think you spit all over the table, but that's okay.
You might have to clean that up. This bottle stands out thanks to its finishing process. Bourbon casks followed by Oloroso sherry casks. It really brings in some nice layered flavor. You're gonna get caramel, cinnamon, toasted oak, and a little sherry pop at the end.
I love a little cherry pop. Cherry? Sorry, I was thinking something else.
Where are you at, buddy? Now, it's not overly complex, but it's got personality. And it drinks a bit more thoughtfully than your average $30 Irish whiskey. So I'm gonna go with an 81 here.
I dig the Glendel. Did I say that right?
That was so good. It was a very strong phlegm.
I tried. I don't know if that makes me more Irish or less Irish, but I tried. It's a craft whiskey that doesn't feel gimmicky, and I think it hits that sweet spot of being approachable while still showing off some character. The bourbon and Oloroso sherry casks give that juice some character, but it is a little harsher than I'd like for an Irish whiskey. It's still an overall enjoyable sipper, and I'm gonna give this little bad boy an 83. With your score of 81 and my score of 83, this one averages out to an 82 B tier for Glendel Double Barrel.
Well done.
I'm trying my hardest.
Well done.
You Irish folk in the comments section below, please let us know if I am pronouncing this thing correctly or if I'm just butchering the whole thing.
What tier would you give his phlegm?
Number 15 on our list is Konamara Peated Single Malt. Konamara is one of the few peated Irish whiskeys that you'll regularly find, and I respect that. It's got a subtle campfire smoke layered over honey and orchid fruit. It's probably the lightest peated offering that I've tried so far, which makes it a nice gateway peated whiskey for the uninitiated. But for those that do like peated whiskey, this one to me doesn't fully deliver. I was borderline B and C tier here, but I'm ultimately gonna give it an 81.
Yeah, I like that Konamara gives Irish whiskey drinkers a smoky option, but it ends up tasting a little thin. The sweet and smoke balance is interesting, but we actually found Tealing Black Pits did that combo much better.
Oh, I love Tealing Black Pits.
Konamara is still good, but it just didn't quite hit the same high. I was also between a B and a C here, but I ended up going with a 79. With your score of 81 and mine of 79, you actually brought it up to the B tier at 80 for Konamara Peated Single Malt.
That's what I do. I bring bottles up from the depths of hell, raise them up to heaven.
So C tier is hell, B tier is heaven?
Hey, close enough.
Up next at number 14, we've got Slane Irish Whiskey. Slane has one of the cooler brand stories. It's made on the grounds of the legendary Napolean Castle, and they use a triple cask aging process. Virgin oak, seasoned oak, and sherry. Now that all sounds great on paper, but the reality is, it doesn't quite come together. The flavors feel a little muddled. There's sweetness, spice, wood, but none of that really stands out. And for those reasons, I'm gonna give it a 72.
Yeah, it's one of those bottles that tries to do a lot and it ends up being kind of average across the board. It's easy to sip, slightly sweet with a little spice and cocoa, but there's not much depth. I think it's a good intro whiskey for new drinkers at $27, but if you've had a few Irish bottles already, this one's probably not gonna impress, so I'm gonna give this one a 75. With your score of 72 and my score of 75, it averages out to a 74 C tier for Slane Irish Whiskey. Lucky number 13 on our list is Two Gingers Irish Whiskey. Two Gingers is a budget whiskey through and through. At around $16 a bottle, it's not pretending to be anything fancy, and that's fine. But judged as a neat pour, it really doesn't hold up. It's thin, grainy, and the flavor fades almost instantly. There's a little vanilla and apple here, but it feels watered down, even at 40% ABV, and I'm gonna go 55 here.
Oof.
Yeah, it's a college bottle through and through.
Right, it's not necessarily offensive, it's just bland. And that said, for the price, it's probably better suited as a mixer. In a whiskey ginger or an Irish mule, it definitely gets the job done. But if we're ranking it alongside bottles meant to be sipped and appreciated, this one's clearly in the bottom. I wouldn't say it's an F tier, but I'm gonna give it a 63. You're 55, my 63 is gonna give it an average of 59, otherwise known as a high F for Two Gingers.
You know what I do, Ryan?
What?
I take bottles that belong in heaven and I bring them down to hell.
After you just got done saying you brought them up to heaven.
Yes.
Make up your mind.
I'm a complicated person.
Up next at number 12, we've got Paddy's Old Irish Whiskey. Paddy's is one of the most budget-friendly Irish whiskeys out there. Usually around $18, and for what it is, it's not bad. It's light and clean. It's got a touch of honey. You can taste the malt and maybe some citrus in there too, but it's very simple. There's not much depth here, but it avoids some of the harsher grain notes we've tasted in other entry-level bottles. Still, Gonna give it a 70.
Yeah, it's definitely still a mixer first kind of whiskey, but I'd say it's a small step up from something like Two Gingers. The finish is a little smoother and there's a hint of balance that makes it feel a little bit more complete. Still, it's not something I'd pour neat unless I had very limited options. And in the spirit of consistency, I'm gonna give this one a 57.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We were pretty far off on this one.
We were, I mean, if Two Gingers gets a 55 from me, this is gonna get a 57. With your score of 70 and my score of a solid 57, it averages out to a 64 D tier for Paddy's Old Irish Whiskey. Number 11 is Lost Irish.
Are you lost?
I'm not Irish,
Oh.
so I'm not lost.
Okay. Fair enough. I am Irish.
Yeah. Are you lost?
I am.
Oh, you were once lost, now you're found.
Thank you, Jesus.
Yes, that's what I do. I find people that are lost.
He doesn't only do it with whiskey, he does it with people.
Yes.
I'm going to the S tier.
Lost Irish has a really cool concept. It's finished in casks from 6 different continents.
How many?
6.
Wow.
Everything from South African brandy to Caribbean rum barrels and even Japanese Mizunara casks. The nose is all over the place and the palate shifts so quickly that it's hard to focus on only one flavor. But you know what? I'm gonna embrace the chaos, Ryan. A for creativity, but for taste, Lost Irish gets an 80 from me.
Yeah, this one's weird. You get tropical fruit 1 second, then something spicy, then something bitter. And none of it really gels. It's like someone blended a bunch of half-finished ideas into one bottle. I love the ambition here, but from a flavor standpoint, it's just too scattered to be enjoyable, so I had to give it a 62.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oh, Ryan.
So you gave it a whopping 80.
Which it deserves.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gave it a very grounded 62. So that's gonna average out to a 71, C tier for Lost Irish.
Lost Irish, send me the check later. I have saved you from the D tier status.
We'll share it. All right, Eddie, we are getting into the top 10, and we have yet to reach A or S tier for any of these bottles.
You're right. That is a scary thought. Ireland, what are you doing to us?
Coming in at number 10, we've got Writer's Tears Copper Pot. Writer's Tears Copper Pot comes from Walsh Whiskey, the same folks who make the Irishman, so you know there's some pedigree behind it. This one is a blend of single malt and single pot still whiskey, and what stands out is how creamy and balanced it is. You get a really nice mix of orchard fruit, toffee, and spice. It's approachable, but still has enough layers to keep you guessing what's next. For me, this one's easy high B tier, 88.
Yeah, this one doesn't really scream flashy oak or sherry, but it does what it does really well. It's slightly sweet with honey and fresh fruit, and the finish is gentle yet persistent. For under $45, it drinks way above its price point, and that consistency makes it a reliable go-to. We have skirted around this long enough, Ryan. I will also give this one an 88, making it our second NSYNC bottle. So with both of our 88s, this one averages out to a B tier, Writer's Tears Copper Pot. Number 9th best-selling Irish whiskey in the US is Napoleon Castle 12 Year. Napoleon Castle 12 is a standout for anyone who loves bright, clean, single malts. It's triple distilled and aged in ex-bourbon casks, and what you get is this beautiful balance of green apple, vanilla, malt, and a touch of citrus zest. It's crisp and elegant, and really one of the few Irish whiskeys that really leans into that fresh, fruit-forward profile without sacrificing depth. Finally, I get to give an A-tier ranking at 90. And Ryan, the ball's in your court. You're so close there between the A and the B. So what you do right now is gonna change the complexion of this whole tier list.
Let me tell you something, Eddie.
You tell me.
This one is super well executed.
Oh, I feel good about this one.
Yes, there's a precision to it. It's nothing overpowering, but everything is dialed in. I love how the bourbon cask aging brings out the gentle oak and the toasted grain quality. It's a bottle that rewards attention and tastes like it was crafted with real care. I'd go so far as to rank this one above its 12-year Scotch counterparts at Glenfiddich and Glenlivet. I'm going 92 here. Your 90 and my 92 averages out to a 91 A tier for Napoleon Castle 12.
Finally, the top is getting lonely.
I think we're off to a good start here because number 8, we come at another good one with Greenspot. Greenspot is the entry point into the Spot whiskey lineup, which also includes yellow, blue, red, and now gold. It's the most affordable and widely available to the group, and for good reason. You get classic orchard fruit, think green apples and pears, and you also get a touch of honey, oak, and spice. It's expressive without feeling overdone. This one, another easy A tier for me at 90.
Yeah, this is a textbook example of how clean, flavorful Irish pot still should be. There's a light malt sweetness, a hint of sherry influence, and that creamy, rounded texture that draws you in. If this was Red Spot, I'd be planting that sucker on an S tier, but even their entry-level Green Spot is very good. At $60, it's a consistent winner. We are in sync again.
Look at that.
90 for me. So Greenspot gets a low A tier with our combined score of 90.
Fill in that A tier.
There it is. You start filling in that A, starts feeling kind of good. Number 7 on our list is Tealing Small Batch. Tealing Small Batch is a statement from Dublin's trailblazing distillery. It's aged in ex-bourbon and then finished in Central American rum casks for up to 12 months. On the nose, there's a great mix of vanilla, dried fruits, and warm spice. On the palate, you get rum-soaked raisins, allspice, and a gentle coconut sweetness that blends seamlessly with the malt. I love everything that Tealing does, and I'm gonna go 94 with this one.
Look at that.
I love Tealing. Tealing, bring me some of that yum yum. We're actually drinking Black Pits right now.
Yeah. Tealing does some great stuff. I really appreciate how the rum finish brings something unexpected without overpowering the base whiskey itself. As you're drinking it, it adds some warmth and makes it linger longer in a pleasant way. It's definitely more memorable than your typical entry-level Irish. At around $35 to $40, it is a standout value. Easy A tier for me at 90. So between your 94, my 90, this is gonna average out at a 92. A tier for Tealing Small Batch, and we are on an A tier streak.
I love it.
Can we keep it going? Coming in at number 6 on our list, we've got Powers Gold Label. Powers Gold Label brings a lot more character than most of your budget Irish blends. You're gonna get bright orchard fruit, apple and pears, some toasted grain, honey, and a noticeable kick of pot still spice. It has a lively personality that stands out, especially if you're used to smoother, softer blends. Solid B tier for me at 85.
Yeah, Powers has a spice that gives it a punch, which is pretty unusual for Irish whiskey, and it's got more weight on the palate than you'd expect for a $30 bottle. It still has a quick finish, but I don't think you'll find many better budget Irish whiskeys out there. Maybe one, which we'll get to shortly. 84 from me. Ryan, you gave it an 85, I gave it an 84. Unfortunately, our A tier streak got broken with this B tier, 85 average for Powers Gold Label. The number 5 best-selling Irish whiskey in the United States is Redbreast 12 Year. Redbreast 12 is one of the gold standards for Irish whiskey. 100% single pot still, aged in a mix of bourbon and sherry casks and bottled at 40% ABV, yet still full of richness. Right from the nose, you get honey, baked apple, roasted nuts, and this beautiful sherry warmth. It's layered, it's expressive, and just ridiculously well balanced. This quintessential Irish whiskey gets my first S tier for today with a 96.
Yes! For me, this is where Irish whiskey really flexes. That pot still spice, the creaminess, the dried fruit, toasted oak, man, it all comes together so effortlessly. And for $55 to $60, it is an absolute steal. I'm gonna let you guys in on a little secret. This is my favorite bottle of whiskey of all time. I'm gonna give this bad boy a 99.
Wait, what happened? Who were you talking to, Ryan?
Nobody.
You just left me out. You just started talking over there. I'm like, what the hell is going on? You was talking. Who are you talking to?
I'm talking to my friends. So with your score of 96 and mine of 99, this is gonna average out to a 98. Our first S tier Redbreast 12. Coming in at number 4, we've got Bushmills Black Bush. I don't think Black Bush gets nearly enough credit. It's technically a blend, but it's made with a high proportion of sherry-aged single malt, and you can absolutely taste the richness. It's got dried fruit, dark chocolate, roasted nuts, and this really nice malt-forward body that elevates it way beyond most blends under $30. Absolutely love this bottle. 94 from me.
Oh, I'm so glad, Ryan. I'm so glad you went that route.
Yes.
I was concerned we were gonna go on a different path with this one, but I'm so glad we didn't. This is the best budget Irish whiskey on the entire market. And it's not just budget for budget's sake. It's a go-to for people who want something flavorful and dependable, regardless of price. The sherry cask influence gives it a round, full character, and the balance between the sweet and the dry makes it super versatile. It's a textbook example of how to do a blend right, and I'm gonna give this one a 92. With your score, Ryan, of a 94 and my score of a 92, it averages out to a 93, solid A tier for Bushmills Black Bush.
Man, these top 10 Irish whiskeys are not disappointing.
They're not disappointing at all. And on that note, number 3 on our list is Proper number 12.
Oh,
Look, Proper number 12 has done an incredible job with its marketing, and it brought a lot of new drinkers into the Irish whiskey world. But when you compare it to other bottles on this list, the juice just doesn't hold up. It's grainy, it drinks young, and the flavors never really come together. It's flat and completely forgettable. I'd say this thing is only good as a mixer, but there are other options on this list that I think are better options for mixing and sold at the same price. I am giving it the lowest score today with a 53.
yeah, it's hard to recommend this over something like Blackbush or Powers when they're in the same price range and offer way more depth. This one feels rushed, like it was designed to hit shelves fast, not to impress whiskey drinkers. It's fine in a cocktail, but as a neat pour, it is totally outclassed. I was borderline F, but I gave it a 60. So with your 53 and my overly generous 60, still gonna end up in the F tier at 57 for Proper number 12.
Conor McGregor, if you want to go after anybody, there's Ryan right over there.
I don't think he's involved with this anymore.
Oh, he's not?
No.
He was sold this garbage dumpster fire whiskey and decided to say, hey, I'm cashing out.
Yep. We are into our top 2, my friend.
Let's do this. I'm so pumped.
I think everybody can guess number 1, but number 2 may come as a surprise. At number 2, we've got Tullamore Dew Original. Tullamore Dew is one of the most widely available Irish whiskeys out there, and honestly, it holds up better than you'd expect. It's a triple distill blend of grain, malt, and pot still whiskey, and it brings a nice mix of green apple, light caramel, and a little bit of spice. It is surprisingly balanced for a bottle near $20. I'm gonna go 84 here.
Yeah, for a bottle that cheap, it has no business tasting this well-rounded. Proper number 12, you should learn a thing or two from Tullamore Dew. It's easy to sip, has just enough complexity to keep this interesting, and it mixes well too. It's not flashy or bold, but it does exactly what it's supposed to do. And that earns it a spot in the B tier for me at 80. So with your 84 and my 80, it averages out to an 82 B tier for Tullamore Dew. The number 1 best-selling Irish whiskey in the United States is Jameson Original. Jameson is hands down the most recognized Irish whiskey in the world. For a lot of people, it's their first introduction to the category. But when you break it down next to the other upper tier bottles on this list, it just doesn't really compete. It's light, it's grainy, and it leans a little too hard on it being easy drinking without offering much in the way of flavor. But I honestly have had worse. I've had better. So I think it's fair to rate it a 75.
Yeah, I think you nailed it there. There's nothing wrong with Jameson. It's reliable and it works great in a cocktail, but as a neat pour, it's uninspiring. You get a bit of vanilla and green apple, but not much else. If you're gonna go for Jameson, we'd steer you towards Black Barrel or Caskmates. They did a really good stout finish bottle. The original is fine, but forgettable. This one gets a 78 from me. So with your 75, my 78, that's gonna average out to a 77 upper C tier for Jameson Original.
Irish whiskey has come a long way. This list had everything from $16 mixers to bottles that can convert lifelong Scotch drinkers.
If you're new to Irish whiskey, start building your collection with those upper tier bottles. If you're an Irish whiskey veteran and think we're insane for putting Jameson in C tier, comments are open. We'll be waiting.
And if you enjoyed this video, we've got more tier lists on the screen for you to enjoy. So like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Let them know that we are here building a community that is growing more and more by the day.
Until next time, drink what you love, argue respectfully, and never trust a whiskey that hides its mash bill.
Slanja.